see featured in this episode of The Quiet Rifle came to me courtesy of Herman's Sporting Guns. So if you like what you see, and I'm pretty sure you will, you should skip on over to their website, hermansguns.com.au. Link will be in the description, and check out their range. They are the Australian distributor for FX air guns and the slugs that you see here today, and they also carry a wide range of other firearms and accessories, especially looking at these new swanky Sabre Tactical Bigfoot pod things. Very good. Juicy. I want one. So if you'd like to support the show, support the people who support me, and go and check out their website. Big thank you to Herman's Guns. Really enjoyed using this ammo. Oh, finally got around to doing some shooting, and it went pretty well, not gonna lie. So I haven't shot since I can't remember, this video, whatever that one was, and it was months ago. It's February now, and I'm pretty sure it was like the start of December when I shot last, so I was very rusty, but these bad boys, they helped me out, making me look pretty good. So this is what we're looking at today, the old FX hybrid slugs in 22 caliber. Already had a crack at them in 25 and enjoyed it, but the 22 cal slugs, we're on the money now. We've got the superior liner in the gun, and that is the liner that you're supposed to use with these ones. So there's the superior and then there's the superior heavy. This is just the normal superior, and it's the one that comes standard. When you buy a new impact, that's what you'll get. Right, so let's bang on into it. Ballistic data. They're 22 cal, 217, gigantic internal hollow point slugs with a nice rebated base so that they stabilize nicely at lower speeds as well. They are 0.322 inches long, and they have a G1 ballistic coefficient of 0.080, which is quite high for a pellet gun slug. Pretty good. Not quite as high as something like the heavier, longer 30 grain slugs, but this kind of has a different application. These they work better in guns that make less power, I suppose. Well, obviously they work fine in high-powered guns, but the way that they're shaped and the bearing surface and the light weight, giving them that ballistic coefficient without giving them a huge amount of weight, is what allows them to work really well in lower-powered guns. So I took a sample of 50 of them out of the packet here and inspected them and weighed them, and I was very impressed. The condition was great. They're very well protected in these cases, as I have experienced so far. They're kind of annoying because it's like you got to try and get as many as you want out, so you got to kind of cover it with your thumb and tip it out or do whatever you got to do. But they do protect the slugs really, really well. So I would give them a 9 out of 10 for condition. Not perfect, because on the inside of the hollow points there is a little bit of jaggediness. It didn't affect accuracy as far as I could tell, but that is something to note. They are not perfect, and they probably would benefit from a wash if you're inclined to wash them. I didn't bother, I just took them straight out of the tin, because I always do that. Very rare that I prepare my ammo or lubricate them or anything. I usually just take it straight out of the tin and throw it in the gun and see what happens. So that's what you're going to see through all of my ammunition analyses. Price. They're a bit spicy, I'm not going to lie. So it's 28 Aussie dollars for 100 of them, which is a lot of money for a air rifle round. 28 cents per shot is hideously expensive, but you are buying a premium round. You're not buying something that hasn't had, all of the R&D poured into it, all of the quality control. Like, you're getting what you pay for. So they're a very well delivered, very impressive round that suits a purpose in particular. So it's not just your average hunting ammo. It's much more than that. So I think it's worth the price tag, but I mean that's up to you. So like, what do you really need? If you have a slug that does the same job as this and costs half as much, maybe not. But for me, as far as I'm concerned, I think they're fine. I wouldn't say they're good value, but the price is it's where it should be, I think. Right, so let's talk about tuning. I'm going to go into my FX Radar app and have a looky-loo at the shot strings. that I have saved. I wound my reg up. I've been running my reg at about 150 bar, just because it's easy. I find a higher reg pressure is much easier to tune than a lower reg pressure. There's just so much less. I can do it in like 5 minutes and I don't really care that I don't get as many shots. I could do a more efficient tune if I put more time into it, but I don't want to waste ammo if I don't have to. So I've got my lovely pellet trap that I just built. I built a second one so I could leave it in here, and it seems to be working a treat. No pellets have come flying back at me yet. It's basically just a big wooden box with an angled backboard and a piece of steel on it. So the pellet goes through the wood, hits the steel, comes down and lands in a big pile of dirt. So basically it's a set and forget thing, and when the chipboard on the front is too frayed, the only reason that's on there is just to prevent the dust from flying around. So once that's shot, I just like whack a new one on and forget about it and then go again. Don't have to worry about emptying it out or rebuilding sandbags or anything like that. So very handy, I like it. But I was tuning away with my 150 bar reg pressure, and I have, what do we got? Maximum hammer spring is 19 millimeters. That's my hammer spring gap. It might not work for you because your gun's probably different. That's not that much hammer spring. You've got another couple of millimeters to play with, so I could have pushed it quite a bit harder, but there would have been no point because they would have been supersonic by then. And my speed that I ended up coming out with was right around 970 feet per second. So they were stinging along. It was good. My lowest one was 965 and my highest one was 972. I'll put that here somewhere for you to look at. Did shoot some longer strings but didn't bother recording them because I was sort of tuning halfway through, so I just did this last 5-round group here over the Crony just to make sure that I had something to show you and something to remember. And with that being the highest power, I wound it down a little bit to see what would happen, and it wasn't super great as I wound it down. The tune sort of fell apart a little bit and averaged about 860 halfway down the hammer spring wheel, and then on minimum 754. So and the standard deviation was 11.4 on medium power and 6.8 on low power. It was surprisingly consistent on low power. I didn't do any low power shooting because I'm strapped for time, but I will visit that soon as I get the chance, because I'm interested to see how they go around those quiet between 700 and 800 feet per second with that lovely ballistic coefficient. If they stabilize, that would be really cool. Don't get a particularly high amount of shots per fill, which is kind of annoying when you're running a 150 bar reg pressure. I'm running my valve on the front on the 4th line, so it's pretty much wide open. So it's using quite a bit of air per shot. But it is making that wonderful ping noise that you'll hear airgun tuners talk about, and it was mint. Here we are, zoomy zoom. Very good. So this is 25 meters. These were my zeroing groups. Here we have 5 rounds there, 5 rounds there, and the zeros wandering because obviously I shot this group. I think I was aiming up here or something, and it landed there, and I thought, hey, I'll wind it back, and I wound it the wrong way again because that's what I always do. So I wound it all the way back, and there we go. 5 rounds there and 5 rounds there. They're cloverleaf, they're touching, very, very, very small groups. Obviously you would expect that from a projectile doing 1,000,000 miles an hour at, I don't even know why I'm bothering to measure this. It's center to center, we're looking at 6 millimeters. I mean, come on now. And this is outside, obviously, on my range. So outside in the wind, tiny, tiny, tiny little groups at 25 meters. I don't know, I don't shoot bench rest, so I don't know if that's bench rest worthy or not, but I reckon it's probably pretty bloody close. So let's move on to 100 meters. I did not bother shooting at 50 meters because those groups were immaculate. So I thought, hey, let's get rambunctious and get straight to it. Whoop. So up here we have a zeroing round, and then as we float on over, there's another zeroing round over there. So that's what those little holes are in the paper. So let's start with these groups up the top here. Over here we've got a 44 millimeter group. This is 1.7 MOA. Remembering that I haven't shot for 2 months and I'm rusty, and I'm like, when I'm behind the gun, I can see the crosshairs bouncing around quite a bit. So I'm not shooting well, but even so, these are probably the most forgiving rounds I've ever had the pleasure of using. So we've got our 44mm group here. Over here we have a 47mm group, and this one has a cluster in the middle here. I'm pretty sure this was a gust of wind that blew that one off, because everything picked up real heavy for a second just as I pulled the trigger. But that one included in the group is 47mm, so roughly the same as the other one, between 1.7 and 1.9 MOA. And if we just measure this real tight cluster here, 16mm, 0.7 MOA. Ridiculous. And this trend has continued. So we've got 37mm group here, 1.5 MOA. Not bad, nothing to write home about, but pretty tight. I mean, that's minute of pigeon for sure. You'd be smacking those bad boys down. Moving along down the bottom here, we have another one at 45mm or 1.8 MOA. Again, with this very tight group, and me getting salty with this one over here and sending a flyer off into the bush. But still a very good group and still hunting accurate for sure. And finally, everything came together for me on the last group, and I shot a 17mm group at 100 meters after not having shot for 2 months. Outside, and it was magical. Magical. 17mm, that's my finger. Look at that. That is idiotic. That is so accurate. I cannot believe it. And I really think if I practiced regularly, like if I shot, even if it was only 4 or 5 groups a day, I think I could do that often with this ammo. It's blown me away how easy that was. If you run them hard, are up around that 960 to 970 feet per second through a superior liner, you're going to have a good time. You're going to have a really good time. You're going to run out of money, but you're going to have a really good time. I would love to see a whole bunch more of these, and I'm probably going to get out and practice with it when I have a bit of free time. So I'm very impressed. Very impressed with the accuracy. 10 points, FX. 10 out of 10. I think this is the best group I've ever shot at 100 meters. 5-round group, 17mm, 0.7 MOA. Cha-ching. Drinking Cooper's non-alcoholic beer today. It's almost as bitter as me. Almost. Anyway, can't recommend this ammo enough. I'm a fan. This is my favorite thing so far. There's something magical about a 22 caliber air gun. I do like the bigger calibers. The 35 is cool, the 30's cool, 25's cool. Don't get me wrong. They're all cool. But they're just 22s just seem to be, especially for the FX guns, they just seem to be the best. They just seem to, the range of ammo that's available, the weights and the ballistic coefficients of all the new slugs coming out are just so good. And yeah, I don't know. I really like 22. I wish I bought the 22 before I bought the 25. I think if I had this 22 first instead of the 25, I would probably get a 30 or a 35 cal barrel, and then just have, why would you get a 25 if the 22 makes the same power? I'm excited. I want to go back and shoot more, but I've got stuff to do. Damn it. Well, I have in my hot little hands 3 different weights of Nielsen specialty ammunition sluggeroony poos. I have, what have we got? We've got 400 17.5 grain 22 slugs, 325 26.8 grain 25 cal slugs, and finally we have the 20.2 grain 218s. So these are going to be being tested in the very near future, so stay tuned for that. Interesting weights. Very keen to see how the super light 17 grain slugs go. But yeah, if you're an Aussie and you are looking to get yourself into some NSA slugs, make sure you go to Air Rifle Slugs Australia and get you some slugs before they sell out. The shipment has landed, as you can see, they're in my hot little hands. So head on over there and place your order if you want really good slugs from a really good bloke in Australia. Don't have to worry about international shipping or anything like that. So, and obviously, the star of the show, if you want some FX hybrids, go to hermansguns.com.au, check it out. If you're overseas, you can get them from Airgun 101 shop. And yeah,